Friedrich Nietzsche, and Carl Jung. Learn the role of shame and how to use it to your advantage to build your self-confidence and break away from the chains that hold you back. So what is shame? In psychology, shame is considered a negative emotion because it causes discomfort in one's self-image. When we feel ashamed, we tend to withdraw from social interactions and seek solitude. We may also become defensive, angry, or depressed. The word shame comes from two Latin words, scandere, which means to turn around, and mea culpa, which means my fault. The root of this word means to turn back or to return. This suggests that when we are shamed, we are forced to reevaluate our actions and make amends for them. Shame can be experienced as an internal sensation, such as the feeling of being unworthy. Or it can be externalized, such as being embarrassed by others. It can also be caused by other emotions, such as guilt or embarrassment. Shame can lead us to lash out at others or ourselves, which can cause more harm than good. What is toxic shame? Toxic shame is a feeling of being unworthy to exist. It's the belief that you are not good enough, and if others knew about your failures, they would judge you harshly. This can be caused by anything from an addiction to food or alcohol. The more shameful something is for us, the more we feel ashamed of it. The problem with toxic shame is that it doesn't allow us to love ourselves. We don't want anyone else to know our secrets, so we keep them hidden in the deepest part of our minds. When we feel this way, we often find ourselves isolating ourselves from other people because we don't think they will understand what we have done wrong. This leaves us feeling alone and isolated, which only makes things worse. How do I know if I have toxic shame? If you feel like you need to hide parts of yourself from others, then there is a strong chance that you have toxic shame. It's not uncommon for people with this type of shame to be ashamed of their bodies and the way they look. They may also feel ashamed about things such as their sexual orientation or gender identity. Toxic shame can make it difficult for someone to trust other people or even themselves. In fact, some people who struggle with toxic shame don't know how to tell if they are being honest with themselves. This makes it hard for them to get out of negative patterns in life. What are the symptoms of toxic shame? The symptoms of toxic shame include 1. Feeling afraid of judgment or rejection by others. 2. Having trouble trusting others. 3. Being unable to express your true feelings. 4. Not feeling comfortable expressing your emotions. 5. Feeling guilty when you do something wrong. 6. Avoiding certain situations because you might be judged. 7. Feeling anxious or nervous around other people. 8. Feeling depressed or sad. The personal and social solutions of Nietzsche's advice to overcome shame. Nietzsche believed that the only way to overcome shame is to become who you are. He thought that people should embrace their uniqueness and not care what others think about them. Nietzsche's advice to overcome shame is to take responsibility for one's actions. Be authentic and honest with oneself. And do not let others dictate who you are. Nietzsche's advice to overcome shame is a bit different. He argues that there are two types of shame: personal and social. Personal shame is the feeling of guilt for one's own actions. Social or public shame is the feeling of dishonor brought about by the judgment of others. Nietzsche advises overcoming personal shame by taking responsibility for one's actions, being authentic and honest with oneself, and not letting others dictate who you are. For overcoming social or public shame, He advises that people must learn how to turn their weaknesses into strengths in order to make themselves more admirable in the eyes of society. The cure for fear is to become what you are. This quote is attributed to both Nietzsche and Jung, and it has been interpreted in a variety of ways. For Jung, the quote was an affirmation that the only way to overcome shame is by accepting one's own uniqueness. For Nietzsche, it was a call for people to stop fighting against their nature and instead live life according to their true desires. The Undiscovered Self is a book by psychoanalyst and writer Carl Jung. The work was first published in 1958 and is one of the most famous works of Jungian psychology. This book discusses the central role that shame plays in human life, its causes, its consequences, and how it can be overcome. It also explores the relationship between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, as well as the importance of dreams and archetypes in understanding ourselves and our world. Jung believed that we all have a shadow side to our personality. The shadow is the part of us that is not fully integrated into our psyche. These parts of ourselves are repressed and hidden from view. They cause anxiety when they come out because they threaten our sense of self-integrity. In conclusion, the best way to overcome your shame and become who you are to be. What is the seal of liberation? To no longer be ashamed of oneself. So, according to Nietzsche, someone who is truly free is free from shame. And he thinks someone who shames others is bad. So, why is it important to be free from shame? Why is it bad to shame others? So what is freedom? Before we explore the topic further on how to be free from shame, let us explore the meaning of freedom. Freedom is to become what you are meant to be. Let us look at an example. Think of yourself as a mustard seed, which are to be planted and nurtured with the right amount of water and planted in fertile soil to become a mustard tree. The mustard seed will surely fail if the correct conditions are not created for it to grow and to become a mustard tree. The best way to overcome your shame is to become who you are. This means that the first step in overcoming your shame is to stop trying to be someone else. It's not about being a better person or doing things differently. It's about becoming yourself. If you want to get rid of your shame, then you need to start by accepting who you really are. You can only change what you accept as true. So if you don't believe that you're worthy of love and respect, then no matter how much you try to convince yourself otherwise, you won't experience any positive emotions towards yourself. I hope that this video helps you in identifying the shame in your life and how to overcome it. For further reading on this topic, you can read the book by Carl Jung, The Undiscovered Self.